Shall we start Lila ولا؟ Okay. أعتقد ممكن we could start, yeah?
Okay. Good evening. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We would like to thank you all for joining us on our third Bilingual Flash series. My name is Almaz Bougamaz, a member of the Bilingual Flash for the Investment and Business Committee of the Kuwait Law Society. This committee is led and managed by lawyer Lina Adlouni. Today's Flash presented by our speaker, Mr. Fawaz Al-Khatib. He is a senior partner and attorney at Al-Tahir Group law firm. He is admitted to practice before all courts in Kuwait, including the Constitutional and Supreme Courts. Let me welcome you on board, Mr. Fawaz Al-Khatib.
Thank you very much.
Hello. Today's episode topic will be about the responsibility of the employers in the private sector towards the safety of their employees and clients in light of the coronavirus pandemic. So here we start. Mr. Fawaz, based on your recent study for the health and safety controls in the private sector during this pandemic, could you kindly give us a brief on the topic?
Yes, sure. Thank you very much for this opportunity. So, because of the current situation, we've decided to provide guidance to the employers on what safety controls they could take to protect their employees and the clients, customers. The study aimed to prevent the employees from getting the virus and also to raise the legal awareness so that the employers know what to do to avoid any financial damage related to compensating the employees. Therefore, the study took two approaches towards the issue. First, a health perspective. That's why we've consulted several doctors in the medical field, including the former minister, Dr. Mohammed Al-Jarallah. Plus, we also studied the laws, the related laws, and the previous verdicts so that we could know the responsibilities, obligations, and rights of the employers and employees.
Thank you very much. And based on your say, are there any expenses to be deducted from the employee for the protective measures and instruments used for his or her safety?
I could get into that. I would say these are one of our recommendations about the expenses who should be responsible of it. So maybe I will postpone this to the third question.
Sure. We can go on to the next question. But during this curfew and the announced safety return time, we will see some employees that won't be able to go back to work. How could the employer gonna solve this, in your opinion?
Why would they not get back to work? Sorry, could you elaborate on
due
that
to
more?
the pandemic, due to the pandemic.
Are they like under obligatory
for
curfew?
for safety reasons? Yeah,
but there are different situations. For example, they could stop going to work voluntarily. They don't want to go to work, then they could ask for a leave without a salary, or
yeah, but there are some areas in Kuwait, as you know, that they're on full curfew, and like most employees live in those areas. You know what I mean?
Right.
So what can the employer do to solve this issue with his employees?
All right, there are four different, I would say there are 4 points that I should raise in relation to the salaries in the private sector. So here we have a situation where the employee won't go to work because of the compulsory rules that are taken from the government or the authoritative body. And and again, we have a rule that says if he works, he will get his salary. So there is like two elements of the payments. So he's not working. I assume there are also two scenarios. If he's not working at all, then the employer could consider him as having a leave without paying him the salary. And in the other situation where he can work from home through the internet and through working online, then he could get the full salary. What we tell the employers is to try to reach an agreement with the employees because they are suffering from liquidity. So the ultimate goal is to protect the institution, the economic entity, so that they won't go to bankruptcy or insolvency. Therefore, it is crucial to reach an agreement. If not, the situation will present itself to the judges, and it will be left to the court's discretion whether to pay them or not, because there are different rules. The labor law says that they must pay them, even though they are closed. So I'm just talking vice versa. But the civil law is explaining more about the pandemic, the unusual circumstances, the unprecedented situation we're living. And here the civil law took two approaches. First, to minimize the damages, and second, to freeze them. Now, when we go to the verdicts that came through the Supreme Court during the Iraqi war, or the Iraqi invasion, here the court did state that temporary everything should be considered stopped, freezed. This means that the employees didn't get the salary during the invasion, but the months or the year that passed was considered into their indemnity. So it's a bit complicated situation and would be left to the court to decide.
Nice. Going back to the question before that, we were saying that there are expenses that the employer like the employee deducts from the employer because the employer deducts from the employee because of the measures and the instruments used for his or her safety. So what do you think about that?
So the recommendations in the study we published states clearly that it is the responsibility of the employers, and I'll get to that when we jump to the recommendations.
Yeah, you can go ahead and give us the recommendations of.
Sure. So first of all, I would like to clarify that there are certain materials that we used in order to reach this conclusion. So most of the important sources were going back to the Ministry of Health decisions and the Council of Ministers recommendations. And second, we went on to explore the guidance that was provided to the public sector, because they provided kind of how to go back to work on a partial level. And then we went on to the international experience and the international studies. Specifically, we went to the UK British officials guidelines, which states clearly on what should the entities do to go back to work. And this was published on the 25th of May. Then we moved to the legal lens, where we explored the Kuwait labor law, chapter 4, related to the safety and health for the employees. And lastly, we went to the Court of Cassation, the Supreme Court, and we saw how the court took a very strict approach on making sure that the employers prevent any risks to the employees, including the virus risks and the other related work risks. So based on those sources, we provided 7 main recommendations. So first of all, it is about raising the awareness of the pandemic to the employees. Now we have in Kuwait several type of workers, employees, several, I would say also several nationalities. They speak Arabic, English, Indian, and many other languages. So it is the employer's responsibility to provide warning signs, to provide a written and a clear guidance on keeping distance, wearing masks, to ensure that they prevent any direct meetings, including the normal meetings which we used to have, and to ensure that a physical distance. Also to have a clear, I would say, instructions not to meet their peers and have those kind of regular chatting. That was the first recommendation. Second is to provide safety protection equipment at their expense. I mean the employers. So they should buy the masks, the face protection, the gloves, any kind of equipment or goods.
The employer, huh?
Yes, indeed, that could protect the employees and the clients and customers from injury, disease, viruses. So even we're talking about kind of also providing the facility to wash their hands and to make sure that they maintain and they would be protected from getting the virus, and maybe through the sanitizers and any other tools. The third recommendation was related to work as remote as possible. So here we're recommending not to go back to work on full 100% of the employees, but rather take it partially and operate if they can divide them as per their responsibilities, whether to keep flexibility and try to work remotely, and to provide any tools they need, either laptops or any equipment that would help them to use the online mechanism and technology. So it is a hard situation because they're already suffering financially, so they want to operate again, but there is a crucial outcome if they did not follow such, I would say, obligation, because in case an employee was infected, they must pay him for 6 months as per the as per Chapter 4 of the labor law, up to 6 months for his full salary. Also, let's not to forget that they will shut down, so because they need to clean and make all the necessary sterilization operations to prevent the other employees from getting the virus. The fourth recommendation was about creating or establishing risk assessment committees within the facility. So here we're talking about internal committees, so not from the authoritative bodies, but within the institution. I think they should make sure in writing that they are taking all the necessary measures. They should have clarity on what news, what is happening outside, what are the instructions of the authorities, so that they could follow up and make sure that they are taking all the necessary measures to protect their employees. Inspections would be a good idea, like making sure that all the health materials are available in the premises, and that the employees are following the instructions. The fifth recommendation was maintaining the social distance, not less than 2 meters at least, all the time. This means even the lifts, when they use the lifts, when they use the stairs, they should always keep distance. And if the lift is in a small lifts, I would suggest to use it individually. The sixth recommendation was about separating the offices, especially when it comes to call centers, when it comes to the telecom companies, when it comes to the counters in the bank where they face always keep distance, put barriers between the employees to prevent the infection as much as possible. And last, promoting cleaning and all the necessary sterilization operations within the company on a regular basis, weekly basis. There are several Kuwaiti companies which provide such service. It was interesting that the UK authority recommended cleaning certain tools such as keyboards, such as the switches, the handles, door handles, the lift buttons. Basically, which has a high volume of use. Yeah, I would say that's all the recommendations.
Thank you. But I would like to ask you about, you mentioned Chapter 4. It's I guess it's Article 83, right? About the employer's rights and how much are they gonna pay or compensate the employee, right? Can you please tell us more about that?
Yes, all the recommendations are based on
that article.
On the full chapter, actually, because you have also the memorandum. So you have the explanatory note. You have the full body of the chapter, which talks about the safety and preventive of risks. If you're talking about the expenses specifically, yes, the article states the employers must bear any expenses without limitation. And I think the Parliament had in mind, the collective mind of the Parliament was more thinking about the construction kind of risks, not that is related to heavy kind of work premises, not viruses. While if we saw other laws, such as in Cairo, in Egypt, they specifically mention pandemics, viruses. Also in UK, in France, I would say the same. I'm not sure about France, but in UK, I'm sure. So, yeah, the law needs to be developed more. I know that's not the question, but just, yeah, how to say it.
Yeah, so the employees, the employers and the employees both have their rights in the private sector. Like they can both manage to equalize or manage to make a schedule to get each employee do his job. If an employee cannot do the job at work, he can do it at home. So therefore, this article also saves both employee and employer.
Yes, it's balancing and having an agreement in that sense is a good approach to the issue. Now, how much they can agree to share the damage is critical, and I would say is something that would be considered by the court soon. Yeah.
Thank you. So thank you, Fawaz. We were delighted to have you with us today, and we would like to appreciate if you can share advice to our conclusion for today.
Yes, sure. Thank you very much. So one of the Supreme Court verdicts was really interesting. Verdict number 755 on 2014 by the Kuwaiti Labor Court. The interesting part is that the hazards, the risks, even though if, let's assume one of the employees get the virus, that doesn't mean automatically the employer is responsible. It's not a default. It's not something that automatically raise the liability of the employers. Rather, the court said that the negligence, the deficiency, the issue should be proven, that the employer did not take the necessary procedures, the necessary decisions to protect the employers. That's why we strongly recommend that just to stop the employees from getting the virus and to prevent any compensation and claims that are based on the civil law. So we strongly advise that the employers prove all the expenses they are paying to protect the employees, and to provide clearly the signs, the warning signs, all the decision written in writing and handled to the employees. Also, the committees we've suggested to write a report about the regular inspection, which will they do. All of this would lead to reaching a goal, which is the protection of the financial entity, of the private sector. Now, a question might be raised regarding how much will the employee be compensated? Yes. This would be left to the court discretion. We cannot say how much, because also the outcome is not clear. So let's assume unfortunate thing could happen, which if the employee dies because of the coronavirus that he got from the work premises or the place where he works. Then when he used to have his salary, he used to pay his family. And he would continue working for 30 years, 20 years. It depends on his age, on his personal situation. And all of these would be considered by the court, all these factors, I would say. So he might, his family could get compensation based on the years that he could be could be working in this work place or in other with other employers.
Yes, so the employee, in order for him to get compensated, he should get the coronavirus from the premises of the work. Like he won't be compensated if he got the.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're gonna go to asking questions.
Yeah, in that scenario, he could get a sick leave if he got it from outside.
A sick leave, but not paid sick leave.
Paid sick leave, of course.
Paid sick leave. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Fawaz. Now we're gonna ask. We're gonna have some questions from our participants. So
I'm sure Lena will have something.
Yeah, Miss Lena.
Wow.
Okay, I think there's something.
No free questions. That's great.
No, I guess there will be questions because it's an interesting topic. Like knowing your rights during this corona, no one would know that if they got the corona from their work premises would be compensated due to that. Like I didn't know that personally. You know what I mean? So
Okay, the mics are muted from us, or they could handle their mic. I don't know.
I hear it says, please raise the hand, send it to unmute.
Ah, okay. So there should be a raise hand.
Yeah, here I am. This is a wonderful and interesting. It's so insightful. Thank you, Fawaz, and thank you, Almaz. So here we are facing the work as remote as possible. And when I read it, it means that we are so much fine now doing good by such your study had recommended and to work from home. That's the new trend of WFH. So how did your study add the importance of such, how did it concluded that it is beneficial for this time?
Yeah, I think this was clearly illustrated by the Ministry of Health in Kuwait, even and the Council of Ministers. All the health studies and recommendations were pointing to that specific recommendation, which is working remotely. I think, Lina, it's really interesting. Let's assume that one of the employers went fully, working with 100% of the employees. I think this could be found an issue when it comes to the court to compensate. I think the court would consider it as it's not a careful decision. They didn't follow the duty of care. So working remotely, I think it's a duty, and it's already mentioned by the Ministry of Health. But how much can we force it in reality? Maybe when it comes to compensation, that's how we could know how serious it could be taken by the court.
Okay, thank you. Now we will go for Fatima. ذبان حياك الله أهلا وسهلا تفضلي.
يا أهلين مسلينا. Thanks Mrs. Almas Gamaz for the hosting. Thank you Mr. Fawaz Al-Khatib. Actually, for the first time, I've heard so many meetings regarding this matter, and for the first time, your opinion actually أرفع لك القبعة about it, because you didn't give an exact answer for the situation, because no one has the exact answer. We have so many answers regarding this matter, because the curfew, as Mrs. Almas asked, or Ms. Almas asked about the situation of the employees, the curfew wasn't on one stage, it was on stages. Like, let's assume on the last stage, Hawali is blocked. So what if the employees lives in Hawali? They have to give proof that they live in Hawali, right? So they cannot attend to work. Some restaurants worked in the curfew. Some other offices didn't work, like the law firms. You know, we have so many issues in this matter. We cannot give an exact answer regarding the situation of the employees' salaries. So I'm here just making a small point that if the employee wants to file a case against the employer, it's going to take like 1.5 to 2 years. So what if they sat and negotiated? I would like to raise the matter of making a negotiation department regarding the labor matters. Don't say that Shu'un, when they file a case, it goes to Shu'un first, then it goes to court. They don't do negotiations. I attended hundreds of cases in there. They don't do. Are you going to give him the money or not? Yes, no? No? Okay, we'll take it to court. No, we need lawyers to handle this matter. The lawyer of the company and the lawyer of the employee himself. We can do it like pro bono. It's fine. Why not? Because making it pro bono will make cases lesser in the court, will give us a time to attend to our cases. So, Mr. Fawaz, I have a simple question. What if an employee who works at a law firm, let's say a consultant, who has like a salary of 800 dinars, filed a case against the owner of the law firm? and asking for his full salary for the whole period from March, 12th of March, until the day he files the case. Do you think the chances are 50-50, 40-60, 30-70, according to your opinion? And it's going to be an opinion, I know. Will not take it as your final opinion. No, it's like depending on the situation right now in the country. What do you think?
Sorry, Mr. Fawaz, we have 5 minutes. So
Sure. Thank you very much for your comments. I think you're right. I think, I'll say nothing is absolute. So this is not for us to decide. We could just only give a legal opinion based on our reading and the experience we have and reading the previous verdicts. And half of the knowledge is saying, I don't know. This is very important. So unprecedented thing happened. We don't have previous verdicts in Kuwait regarding viruses and the pandemics. I didn't read any. I have made a really long search with the team, with the law firm. We have lawyers in the law firm which experienced 50 years from 1969, Mr. Abdulaziz Tahir. He said again, this didn't happen in Kuwait before. It happened in other countries before. Now, in relation to the consultant, in my opinion, by reading the law, all right, if we are only reading the labor law in the normal circumstances, he would get it. But if we're adding the civil law, which specify about the unusual circumstances, no, probably he will get some money, not for sure, not the full salary. Second, the employers should consider telling the employees, if they cannot pay him, you could transfer and work with someone else, because the labor law states if the employer wants to keep the employee, and if the place was closed, shut down because of any reason, the authority or the decision of the employer or else, then he must pay him. So here, the employer should not, by all means, not stop paying the employees and not allowing them working with other employers, because in the end, also the employee need to pay his expenses, and this is crucial. In my opinion, they should not go to work, especially the ones who work in law firms, because they have the legal mindset and they should go to negotiation. I would say 50 to 75% is fair, but it's not me to decide. It is the liquidity which will provide the answer. All right. So what happened?
Yes, you disappeared. Thank you. We're back. Your opinion, because we were cut off.
I'm losing you. I think there is a problem with the connection. I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Interesting. Sorry. Yes, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, because I don't know what happened. We were disconnected from the. I think time is over.
So did you have the answer regarding the question which was raised, or
you had? We can ask Ms. Lina because I was cut off. Ms. Lina, can you hear us? Or Fatma? Fatma is there, yeah.
We're hearing
Yes, I'm
you.
here.
It's
I can
okay.
hear you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Fatima,
Ms.
so-
Almas, your connection was like a little bit down.
Oh, I'm sorry for that.
So
So
is there anyone?
Fatima, did you get the answer you were
Yes,
asking?
Mr. Fawaz, I got it. You're rational, because this is what we are facing. We have some people going out and saying, according to the labor law, and others saying, according to the civil law. We cannot, in this matter, we have to mix the labor law and the civil law in order to solve the problem.
And all the other circumstances, what is the employer's situation? Is he suffering, or does he has liquidity? No. How much suffer he's taking? How much loss he's taken? Those are all important questions.
Exactly, because the one who are working in a pharmacy will be different than the one who are working in a law firm, because pharmacies are working. Let's say, يعني, it's
you're
like,
totally right.
yeah, it's like سلطة تقديرية to the judge itself.
Yes, left to the discretion of the court. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, because we're gonna.
I would say a special thank to Ms. Lina.
Those
She's
viewers and audiences joining us.